This is the most important message that everyone needs to hear. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. If you esteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. The world is sacred, it cannot be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. The more prohibitions you have, the less virtuous people will be. The more weapons you have, the less secure people will be. The more subsidies you have, the less self-reliant people will be. I let go of the law, and people become honest. I let go of economics, and people become prosperous. I let go of religion, and people become serene. I let go of all desire for the common good, and the good becomes common as grass. In pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. To serve as an example and not to impose her will. She is pointed, but doesn't pierce. Straightforward, but supple. Radiant, but easy on the eyes. Try to make people happy, and you lay the groundwork for misery. Try to make people moral, and you lay the groundwork for vice. The mark of a moderate man is freedom from his own ideas. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know that they don't know, people can find their way. Not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. First realize that you are sick, then you can move toward health. Tolerant like the sky, all-pervading like sunlight, firm like a mountain, supple like a tree in the wind. He has no destination in view, and makes use of anything life happens to bring his way. Nothing is impossible for him, because he has let go. He can care for the people's welfare as a mother cares for her child. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. Whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. You live after the era of wars, and the only remaining step in the pattern of liberty is to answer the question held in the minds of people around the world. The lies of millennia has not stopped the unquenchable thirst for freedom that grows within the hearts of every person on earth. They are poised and ready to take the freedom that is rightfully theirs. They need only hear that freedom is possible, that freedom is real. You are the key. To teach the people of Earth the value that they have within themselves, you need only speak and tell them that every good thing is theirs to have. You need only tell them that the glory of liberty is real and that it belongs to them. This war is already won. Evil has already been crippled. Every human being on Earth is ready to rise and let the chains that held them crumble to dust. This world will be free. If you can see your own value, then stand tall. Personal sovereignty is the end of evil, when every person on Earth will defend themselves and those they love, when evil cannot gain even a foothold because all people are watching for it and recognize that it seeks to destroy their value. This is the exact opposite of perfect evil, in which every person is a slave and a master of slaves. Perfect liberty is life, and in it there are no slaves and no masters of slaves. Perfect liberty is life. Right action gets right results, whereas wrong action gets wrong results. Always think, say, and do what is right. Refuse to think, say, and do what is wrong. There are no bad people. There are only people who make bad mistakes. Complete honesty makes the individual invulnerable, causes his life to open before him, confronts him with unending opportunities and constructive plans, and rightfully crowns his efforts with success. It is worth something to recognize that what is wrong in life is based on emotional unreality and is temporary. What is right in life is part of the reality that unfailingly endures, establishing the principle that right is might. What is needed is a majority of persons who habitually distinguish between right and wrong and use their consciences to move in the direction of right. Contrary to what nearly everyone has been taught to believe, government is not necessary for civilization. It is not conducive to civilization. It is, in fact, the antithesis of civilization. It is not cooperation or working together or voluntary interaction. It is not peaceful coexistence. It is coercion. It is force. It is violence. It is animalistic aggression, cloaked by pseudo-religious cult-like rituals, which are designed to make it appear legitimate and righteous. It is brute thuggery disguised as consent and organization. It is the enslavement of mankind, the subjugation of free will, and the destruction of morality masquerading as civilization and society. The problem is not just that authority can be used for evil. The problem is that, at its most basic essence, it is evil. In everything it does, it defeats the free will of human beings, controlling them through coercion and fear. It supersedes and destroys moral consciences, replacing them with unthinking, blind obedience. It cannot be used for good any more than a bomb can be used to heal a body. It is always aggression, always the enemy of peace, always the enemy of justice. The moment it ceases to be an attacker, it ceases to fit the definition of government. It is, by its very nature, a murderer and a thief, the enemy of mankind, a poison to humanity. As dominator and controller, ruler and oppressor, it can be nothing else. The initiation of violence is the opposite of harmonious coexistence. The desire for dominion is the opposite of love for mankind. Hiding the violence under layers of complex rituals and self-contradictory rationalizations and labeling brute thuggery as virtue and compassion does not change that fact. Claiming noble goals, saying that the violence is the will of the people or that it is being committed for the common good or for the children, cannot change evil into good. Legalizing wrong does not make it right. One man forcibly subjugating another, no matter how it is described or how it is carried out, is uncivilized and immoral. The destruction it causes, the injustice it creates, The damage it does to every soul that it touches, perpetrators, victims, and spectators alike, cannot be undone by calling it law or by claiming that it was necessary. Evil by any name is still evil. If you love death and destruction, oppression and suffering, injustice and violence, repression and torture, helplessness and despair, perpetual conflict and bloodshed, then teach your children to respect authority and teach them that obedience is a virtue. If, on the other hand, you value peaceful coexistence, compassion and cooperation, freedom and justice, then teach your children the principles of self-ownership. Teach them to respect the rights of every human being, and teach them to recognize and reject the belief in authority for what it is, the most irrational, self-contradictory, anti-human, evil, destructive, and dangerous superstition the world has ever known. When people begin to accept personal responsibility for their own actions, then true humanity can begin. People can desperately wish for peace on earth until they are blue in the face, but they will never see it unless and until they are willing to pay the price by giving up one tired old superstition. What would happen if we let go of control? What if we left the animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms alone? They continue to grow without any interference. What then if we left people alone? People would follow their natures, because passive obedience would no longer be a way of life. We would no longer feel the need to obey unnatural organizational patterns, because in following our own nature, we would begin to harmonize with other people and the environment. We can only leave people alone to live their own lives if we are sincere in our own introspection and willing to discard the conditioning that clouds our unity with our brothers and sisters. Where we are sincerely humble and free from agendas, we nourish and secretly transform the world, again, through not seeking to transform it. We all have undergone various sorts of conditioning, and we all have the same physical and emotional states. So we can sympathize with the rest of the world, which suffers as a result of the same hypnosis as ours. The systems of government, politics, banking, religion, and commerce are unnatural, but they have gotten us to a certain point, and we have learned many lessons from them. It is just that they are no longer needed. If we cannot trust the world and the people in it, we stand no chance for survival, because a species at war with itself is doomed. People often say that they trust the universe, but then they consistently condemn life according to their conditioned perspectives. Nature is the answer, both mentally and physically. As a simple, abundant, and beautiful action aside from reminding people who they merely are, everyone can grow food with permaculture, working with nature for nature. You can count the seeds in a single fruit, but you cannot count the fruits in a single seed. When we take the poisons out and grow food instead of lawns, we reverse mass extinction and deforestation. We end hunger and disease. We end poverty and war. We inspire and empower, help the local economy in our survival and preparation. We cannot hide from what's to come, and the ideas whose time has come. Though the problems may be increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple. From this understanding, this awareness, it will be hard not to change the world.